We're going back to where it all begins, so be ready for whole new shenanigans. 25 years have come and gone. Sorority girls have bought the house and are taking it on. Try as they may, try as they might, but they just can't seem to get things just right. Fixing up the house to go green is their goal, but little do they know about the angry green man who's supposedly dead down in the well hole. The return of the leprechaun marks a sinister death knell. His deadly magic they better hope to dispel, for they better break his golden curse before they all end up in the back of a hearse. Even with new guys to kill and girls to maim, one thing will always remain the same. This magical killer sprite that legends foretold still wants his pot of motherfucking gold. We watched Leprechaun Returns. We watch it so you don't have to, so you know what time it is. Top of the morning to you, Moon Goons. Welcome to the Horrible Horror Podcast, the podcast where we watch the worst of the worst in horror movies. I'm your host. The movie's so better scary. I'm your host, Marshall Hampton. I'm getting a little confused. It's St. Patty's Day. We've been drinking. So it is our St. Patty's Day episode. We are sitting here with our Aaron Wood. All right, my co-host Aaron. Aaron, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right, Aaron brought us our drink of the day today. Aaron, what's our drink of the day?
Yeah, so as some of you may know, I am a fan of mixed martial arts and watching UFC. And what better way to do it with Irish whiskey for the holiday, the St. Patrick's Day holiday? So I brought over Conor McGregor's whiskey, Proper 12. I'm a fan of Irish whiskey. I like Jameson, Tullamore, Bushmills, Black Bush.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of Irish whiskeys that I like.
Yep.
This one,
For when you want to get rowdy and punch a civilian in the face and take their phone and stomp on it.
This one's for you.
This is for you.
It's really sweet. It's sweet.
Yeah, it's not what I expected for
it's honestly not as bad as I thought it would be.
Okay.
It's better than I thought it would be. It's kind of like baby's first whiskey.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is Leprechaun Day. It's St. Patty's Day.
Oh, Marshall boy, Aaron, oh Aaron was calling on St. Patrick's Day for you to party in downtown Belleville.
Oh, nicely done.
But you didn't. Instead, you had me crying. Oh, Marshall boy, don't let me drink alone.
I really want to think about cutting that out. I don't.
Come on!
But you just let people like, you need to come out and party with me.
Yeah, you had things to do. You had your kid.
Yeah, I had my kid, but fuck it, whatever. I love St. Patty's Day. I love partying and drinking, but yeah, I had my kid that day, and I wasn't gonna take my 2-year-old onto a pack of
it's a whole bunch of rowdy drunks out there. Yeah, we did it last year. I know that.
Yeah, we did do it last year.
Besides,
anyway,
getting old, you don't need to do this shit.
Yeah. Anyway, before we move on to this week's feature presentation, I want to do another reminder about our t-shirts down on our website at horriblehorrorpodcast.com. Go and get yourself a Horrible Horror Podcast t-shirt for
limited run
for $14.99. Get yourself one of those. Also remind you, we're in the midst. We just closed out all of round 1 of our Horrible Horrors March Movie Madness Tournament of Awfulness tournament.
The Crystal Lake bracket.
Crystal Lake bracket. Yeah. So round 1 is done. We want to say thank you for everybody who voted on that.
Yes, thank you.
The results, you can check out our bonus episodes that have been posting up for the results and insights into the next round.
Right.
So we will be starting our Shitty 16.
Shitty 16
starts.
Yeah.
Actually, by the time you listen to this, you can probably start voting on the Shitty 16 on our Instagram. All right. So that said, this week's movie, St. Patty's Day, we are keeping with our tradition of Leprechaun movies.
There's so many of them to choose
from.
So
many of them to choose from, but this year we did Leprechaun 1, we did Leprechaun 2. Now you would think we'd do Leprechaun 3, but nope.
No, we're fucking it all up.
We're fucking it all up, and we're going with the new Leprechaun Returns. This was released on December 11th of 2018. It was actually a SyFy original movie.
Really?
Yeah, but it was done with like
Lionsgate.
Yeah, Lionsgate. Yeah. So you had like big production with TV market. So when I first heard about it, I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was a sci-fi movie until later." I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Oh boy, this could suck."
Yeah, because I mean, we've done like sci-fi movies with Shark and
the
Soul,
Sharks, Women's Prison Massacre, and
Avalanche Shark. So
just our Shark Week episodes.
Yeah, and I was thinking to myself, now hearing that, couldn't tell at all.
Yeah,
looked like a big budget movie.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was written by Mark Jones and Susan Kelly. Now, Mark Jones really only his name's really on because he's the one who came up with the original Leprechaun. He wrote the original movie that came with the characters. So his name's on all the Leprechaun movies. But he also wrote for various TV shows, including Captain Caveman, The A-Team, Alf, The Fall Guy, James Bond Jr., which was a cartoon in the 90s. And he also does other terrible movies, including Trilloquist, Rumpelstiltskin, which I desperately want to do on this show, but it's not streaming anywhere right now. But that's one I've been wanting to do that since we started this podcast.
Another little person.
So is Trilloquist. He likes to do movies with little people because Ventriloquist is about a killer ventriloquist done, which is going to be played by a little person. Yeah. Rumpelstiltskin, Leprechaun. So yeah, this guy's got some kind of fetish, weird
little person fetish,
something going on. And then
I like the little feet.
Then Susan Kelly, who has 7 credits as a writer, including Killer Eye.
Nice. Wow, awesome.
Or I'm sorry, not Killer Eye, Killer High. I'm sorry, Killer High. I'm sorry, I misread that. I got excited. I was like, Killer High.
I was like, what?
No.
I thought that was written by David DiCaprio.
Yeah, no, that was Charles Band or something. That was a Full Moon thing, or produced. Anyway, Killer High, and she also wrote 1 episode of Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Nice.
She's got 19 credits as an actor, pretty much all shorts and stuff like that. But she was the voice of Claire on 20 episodes of the short-run TV show Code Monkeys, which I actually used to really like that back in the day. And this movie was directed by Steven Kostanski. I don't really have any good information on him. There's nothing worth talking about. Moving on to our cast for this week, we have our main girl, Lila, played by Taylor Spritler. I'm probably messing up her name, but she got 17 credits, 139 episodes of Days of Our Lives, but she was also in the horror movie Amityville: The Awakening, so this is not her first...
This is her first rodeo with horror.
It is not. Katie is played by Pepe Sanuga. 15 credits, including several episodes of Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Another connection there, where she plays Lacey Emery, for those of you who are fans of that show. She was also in Cheerleader Death Squad, and she was the voice of Jackie Briggs in Mortal Kombat X Generations, the TV show.
They made a Mortal Kombat TV show?
Apparently an animated one or something. She was the voice of Jackie Briggs. So it was all the kids of all the Mortal Kombat characters. Yeah. So it's like Young Justice League or something.
Please tell me this is a kid's cartoon also.
I have no idea.
You're taking Mortal Kombat, notoriously for being one of the most violent video games ever made, and we're going to make a kid's show out of it.
I'm not saying it's a kid's show, but it's like it's like the kids of Johnny Cage and Jack Briggs, Jackson, Sonya, and all of their teen. I don't know, but yeah, she's Jackie Briggs. That's my guess. I mean, it's named Generation, so that's
sure.
I'm not going to. Rose is played by Cy Bennett, 14 credits, including Lake Placid Legacy. And lastly, it is worth note, I'm sure everybody knows, but Warwick Davis did not come back to play Leprechaun in this movie. He, I have more on that later. But Leprechaun is now played by Lyndon Porco. But Mark Holton does come back to reprise his role as Ozzy from the very first Leprechaun movie. So there's our connection. So yeah, this movie it kind of does what the newest Halloween movie does. It just said fuck all the other Leprechaun sequels, and it goes back and picks up 25 years after the original movie and just gets rid and says it ignores all their sequels.
Yeah, I was talking with some folks just this weekend about it. It's like, oh, what movie you guys doing? I'm like, oh, we're gonna be doing Leprechaun: The Return. They're like, oh, Leprechaun 2. I'm like, no. Leprechaun 3? No. Like, well, which one's this? It's like, well, it's a new one. Oh, when did it take place? After it went to space? I'm like, no. And it went back to exactly the 25 years afterwards, after the very first Leprechaun. They go, Leprechaun 2. I'm like, no. And it seems like not everyone that I hang out with is a big horror fan. So when I started to explain the Halloween, well, they did this with Halloween. They just changed the way you have different paths. Which one do you want to, which timeline do you want to finish? Which storyline do you want to follow?
Yeah, like Halloween and Leprechaun now basically you can choose your own adventure path line.
Yeah.
It's like, which timeline do you want to, do you like the best?
It's exactly what it is. And I wonder if they're going to start doing that with other horror franchises.
I wouldn't be surprised. This is the second time now. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that with Friday the 13th, because that franchise is in all sorts of fucking limbo right now. But if they ever do get their shit together, which I hope they will, you could see that happen.
There's all kinds of ways you can do it.
Yeah,
Same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Any horror franchise, really, you could do that with anything.
Just like, you know what? Now Nancy's a grandma.
Yeah. She's having nightmares in the old folks' home. And, but
she's not that old. I'm being rude.
Yeah, she's not that old. All right, so moving on. Let's get to the movie itself. We open with a very quick recap of Leprechaun's death from the original movie. We cut to our main girl, Lila, waking up on a bus. And she looks between the seats and sees the melted face of Leppy looking back at her, saying, "Where's my gold?" And then she wakes up again. She's on the bus. It's bright and sunny. The bus drops her off at the rundown Devil's Lake bus stop, which looks like it just closed down. It's just, there's boarded up windows and newspaper.
Yeah,
it looks like it's shithole.
Yeah.
And she calls for a pickup ride, but she gets no answer. And that's when she hears this loud banging noise. She looks over and sees this beat up truck backing like several oil drums. And getting out of the truck is our old friend Ozzy.
Ozzy! I was so happy to see this character. I was so happy. I was like, holy crap, they got him. He's the guy who's probably doing
it's not like they end up big, like they got him. Like, it's not like he's a big, like George Clooney coming back to reprise.
It's not Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, Jennifer Aniston didn't come back.
Yeah, it's not Jennifer, but still, I was very happy.
But it didn't have that connection.
Yeah, but you didn't. I wish they could have brought the kid back. Or the stud muffin, whatever his name was.
I don't remember the name, but
one.
Alex, I think Alex was the kid. Yeah, I'm like, where's the kid? Like, he would have been like...
You can pick anybody. You can have anyone. You can have any
just
actor.
Bring that character back.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ozzy's is back, and he gets, he offers her a ride. She's like, no, thanks.
And you notice his ear's all fucked up?
Yeah, his left ear is all fucked up from again...
Leprechaun mauled it or tore it off.
Tore it bit into it or something like that in the first movie. They make small talk for a bit, and we learn that Lisa is a member of the sorority that just bought the old house and is fixing it up. Ozzy tells her, she's like, "Hey, you look like somebody I used to know," or something like that.
You sure look familiar.
Yeah. And then Ozzy walks away, goes to go back to work, and Lila calls for a cab. And turns out Ozzy is also the town cab driver because his cell phone rings. He picks up. He's like, "Yeah, I need a ride." So she gets in his old pickup truck, and he drives her off.
Off they go.
The inside of Ozzy's truck is covered with 4-leaf clover stickers.
Yeah, just stickers everywhere. It looks like a Leprechaun threw up in there.
Yeah.
Just blah.
They make more small talk as they drive through the town and further out into the boonies. We learn that Lila's mother, who is Jennifer Aniston, so she is Jennifer Aniston's daughter.
Ties back,
yeah. And that Jennifer Aniston's character has now died about a year ago.
Of cancer.
We find out later it's from cancer, but yeah. Ozzy asks if her mother told her anything about the house she's going to, and Lila's like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. But he doesn't bring anything up. But you see this look on her face, like, oh.
He's kind of like, he realized he's about to spill the beans, but he doesn't.
Yeah, so Ozzy, he doesn't bring the past up. They finally reach the old house. Ozzy drops his cell phone while unloading Lila's bags. There's a moment when Ozzy gets freaked out by being back at this house when he sees the old well.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I gotta give him credit. They did a good job with the set. The way this set was set up before, I mean,
it looks exactly like, they did. It's like, yeah, they did a really good job of making it look like just like the first movie.
Very good job. Everything,
the same house, just run down. The barn's there, the well is there, falling apart.
The background looks the same.
It's great. Lila asks him if everything's okay. He says yes.
But you can tell he's freaked out.
He's like, yes, we made sure of it. Then he gets back into his truck. He does say there that if it's not, look in the basement, and then he drives away. Lila pulls out an old photograph of the house from the first movie, holds it up to the house, and this is where you really see.
Yeah, you really see that.
Yeah. And here, we see the house is really run down, but it's being fixed up. On front of the house are what is supposed to be the Greek letters for Alpha Upsilon, but they fucked that up because they just put up a U for Upsilon instead. Now, yes, I'm a stickler for this. I was Greek. I put the proper fucking letters up if you're gonna do this, but they didn't realize what they did.
Are you?
I still don't like it, but I realized why they did it, but I still wish they would have done.
Why'd they do it? Please, we're already down this road. Might as well keep driving,
here's the
baby.
payoff. Here's what I figured why they did it. I don't think the payoff's worth, but AU is the symbol, the atomic symbol for the periodic table for gold.
Oh, yes, it is.
So that's why they put, instead of the upsilon, they put U. Which I don't like that. You can still get, you could put alpha upsilon and still get the same. Oh, it's AU as, okay, I get it. It's not as smack in your face, but at least it would look proper if you're trying to say this is a sorority instead of just being lazy and putting the U up there, which bothers me. But yeah, that's what the AU is, the periodic symbol for gold. Lila starts hearing some beeping. She goes over to the well, and she gets startled by Katie, who comes up behind her. During this conversation, we learn that this house is now a sorority house. It is an hour and a half away from campus. And at that point, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's ridiculous.
That's insane. There's no way. An hour and a half? No, there's no way a sorority house or a Greek house would be that far away from campus.
Nope.
What? Like, no. First of all, no school would allow that at all. And even if they did, no college would want to live an hour and a half away from school.
Now, this was the one thing, and it comes out later in the wash when they're talking about this. This is the only sorority on the entire campus.
Yeah, that comes up way later. But still, even if it's the only one, an hour and a half away is fucking ludicrous.
That'd be like... It's
that's the distance from Belleville to Carbondale.
Yeah.
That's the distance from like St. Louis to almost Columbia, I think.
Yeah, to Mizzou,
to Como, yeah, Mizzou. That is insane to have like that commute every day, twice a day.
3 hours in the car.
Yeah.
Hour and a half there, hour and a half back.
No, like my old fraternity, we had a house off campus too, but it was like 2 minutes off campus,
Sure.
like right downtown in the city or the town, and it's not, and that's not unheard of fraternity houses off campus, but you're not an hour and a half away.
That's pretty bad.
I mean, seriously, that is like one of the most ridiculous things in this movie. Like, I get, like even like you said, like if even it's a half hour away, 10 minutes away is still too far when you really think about what college kids are going to do and what is.
Come on, no, I disagree with that. I mean, this is in North Dakota. There's not a lot of places, or there's not a lot of town. I don't mind a 10-minute, half hour's more, but I agree. Hour and a half.
But
is way
like,
too much.
I don't understand why they even wrote that into the script. Like hour and a half. Like why even mention that? Like it doesn't need to be. It really doesn't come into play at all.
No.
It's just like why even mention something so retarded?
All it does is just make Marshall mad.
Yeah, that's really. It all it does is make me furious. Anyway, so we also learned that they have only one car between all of them there. Katie mentions a weird clover patch they found out back that she's been using to make smoothies with instead of kale. Again, that's a callback to the first Leprechaun movie. Now we're introduced to Rose, who's kind of like the leader of this group, and this reconstruction project to turn his old house into like a hippie-esque, nature-friendly, green, off-the-grid house type thing.
And this is another thing I wish they kind of would have done. It's like they could have tried to make this a school project instead of like, this is our sorority house. It's like, have this sorority, like, look, we're going to build a completely 100%, green energy, 100% efficiency. And that would have made sense too. That way they can still stay there and they're not an hour and a fucking half away from the campus.
I get that. That would make sense. We're sorority. This is our philanthropy. This is our charity project.
We're making a 100% green home. We're installing all the.
Oh wait, but the house is back. That would make more sense, but that's not the case. They didn't do it that way. So they're trying to be all like nature friendly and green, and so they're installing like solar panels on the roof and everything. They're growing gardens and all that like low carbon footprint off the grid type stuff. 100%
sustainable.
Yeah. The current project is getting running. They're currently working on trying to get running water to the house while they wait for like the pipes to be put in. So their plan is to basically pump water from the old well into the house. Rose mentions something about how the well water was deemed unusable and contaminated years ago. But according to all of her tests, the water's fine.
It's perfect.
Perfectly.
She even says it's perfect.
So Katie also tells Lila that there is no internet, no power, and no cell service here. Lila asks about Meredith, who Katie calls an asshole. But Rose says is the only girl in the story that studies native plant landscape architecture, whatever the fuck that means. That's just like some weird bullshit they just made up. Native plant landscape architecture. That's a mouthful. It
is. The only thing I can think of is if
that just screams pretentious bullshit to me.
I mean, it's definitely possible. Sure.
I understand studying native plants and horticulture, but I've never heard or landscaping. But I've never heard like architecture.
Put them all together.
Don't just smash all these words together. Anyway, so we cut to Ozzy driving back to town. He realizes that he's missing his phone. He has to go back to the house to get it. Back at the house, Meredith returns with beer, pizza, and two guys.
Sweet.
Matt and Andy. Turns out that Andy and Katie used to date. And I apologize now throughout this notes because I constantly was getting Andy and Matt confused name-wise. I kept calling one the other, so I might have some mess-ups throughout this, so I'm just apologizing now.
Not that it really matters.
They all decided to quit work for the day, but to get up extra early tomorrow to get back to work. Ozzy gets back to the house, finds his phone on the ground, but On his way back to the truck, he hears mischievous laughter coming from the well.
So Ozzy pulls up, grabs his phone, and all he has to do is get back in the car and drive off. But he hears kind of snickering and laughing coming from the well.
Yep.
And what do you do when you've had a traumatic experience and you just defeated a basically a demon and saved the town and who knows the world? Basically, you're like, get me the fuck out of here. Yep. Nope, I'm going to go look and put my head down that fucking well.
Yeah, he grabs this really large fake 4-leaf clover from his truck, and then he goes over to the well. He looks on the well for a moment, and then for a moment nothing happens, and then all of a sudden, exploding out of the well like a geyser, like Old Faithful, comes like this green, slimy, watery goo.
Bursting out of the well.
Yeah, the watery goo covers Ozzy, who falls to the ground, coughing more of it up.
It's puking out water.
He gets back in his truck, drives away, freaked out, rightfully so. As he's driving, his stomach starts to gurgle loudly as he continues to cough. He pulls over, looks down at his stomach, which is now moving as if there's something inside of it.
Like he's preggers.
Yep. Screaming in pain and fear.
He's like, oh no!
Yeah, Ozzy gets out of the truck, runs a bit into the woods. He screams out, "Leave me alone!" as his stomach continues to bubble, gurgle, and move unnaturally. He coughs up more well water, only this time he also coughs up a 4-leaf clover, which is also a callback to the first movie, the way he was killed. Seeing the clover, he goes, "No!" And that's when Leppy's demon-like hand comes ripping through Ozzy's stomach, followed by a second hand and a foot, and then the other foot. Lastly, Ozzy's chest rips apart. Out comes Leppy's head. This whole visual is actually pretty good and kind of funny looking because you just have this leprechaun head and like these hands and little legs sticking out of his belly going
wormed his way out and he's like, "Daddy!"
Yeah. Ozzy looks down at the hands, feet, and head Leppy that's sticking out of him and says, "You're dead. We killed you 25 years ago." Then Ozzy collapses to the ground. Intestines fall off of Leppy as he finishes birthing himself from Ozzy's torso.
Tears himself out of his body cavity.
Yeah, he spouts off some more rhyming one-liners and limericks, pulls out his old jaunty hat from Ozzy's remains, and walks off.
Now, before he walks off, he does look down at his shoe and goes, come on! And he cleans off his shoe. So there's a callback to him being obsessed with cleaning of shoes.
And that's something we'll see throughout the movie, too. Which is one thing, I even commented on Leprechaun, too. Like, they made a big deal in the first movie about how the Leprechaun, which in lore and theory, they're obsessed with like cleaning shoes and they have and like all this stuff.
They're very OCD about shoes.
Yeah, and that's something they just totally said hell, and they got rid of that in Leprechaun 2 all the way out.
Correct. Yeah,
but they're bringing it back in this one.
So it's still holding true to that.
Yes.
I guess tale of leprechauns.
Yes.
That lore, if you will.
And I was glad to see that. To be honest with you. Back at the house, the group sits around by lantern light, drinking, eating pizza, talking about their plans about going off the grid and all this. This was like Aaron and I said, this was the only sorority on campus. But we also learned that Rose won a golden trowel trophy for building something out of something else. I didn't catch it, doesn't matter. But she's got this trophy on a bookcase of a golden trowel.
Yeah, so it's a
golden trowel and a wooden plaque or something or stand. And conversation switches to Lila, and the girls want to know more about her. So we get more Lila backstory exposition dumping. Here, one of the guys pulls out a camera and starts filming. So that's back-to-back weeks now where we've had featuring 2 knowing guys who have to film everything.
Now, at least the one guy is a film student.
Yeah, we found out there he is a film student. That's his goal. So at least that makes sense.
I'm okay with that, yeah.
Lila talks about how back home she didn't have any friends because she didn't live on campus or anything because she had to stay at home and take care of her mom. And apparently her mom went crazy, thinking that monsters were always trying to get her, and then she got cancer, and then she died.
So Jennifer Aniston lost her shit.
Not a good ending for Jennifer Aniston's character.
Not a good ending.
Did not end well.
Ozzy outlasted her.
Yeah. Meredith comes across as kind of this bitchy girl, which is kind of weird because she's also the stoner of the group, so it's an odd combination to have the bitchy stoner.
Is she a stoner? I think she's more of a drunk. She's just
both.
Constantly drunk.
She is both.
I don't think I ever see her smoke weed. I think they imply it.
Yeah, I don't think they ever show it because it's a sci-fi movie, but they talk about her smoking all the time.
But all she does is just get shit-faced.
Yeah, she's drunk all the time.
She's just drinking.
I guess I'm also talking about stoner because she's always talking about like the herbs and gardens and plants and like how everything can be smoked and stuff like that. She mentions lines like that.
No, she didn't say smoke. She says you can basically ferment
turn anything into alcohol.
You can ferment any plant. You can just about ferment any plant and make alcohol out of it.
That's what it is. So she's more of an alcoholic.
Yeah, she's
okay.
That's dark.
I think it's implied that she's a stoner, but yeah, she's more of
Yeah.
a drunk in this one. But she still comes off as a bitchy character. Anyway, Lila excuses herself, goes to bed. Katie and Andy are in the kitchen. They start making out, going at it. The camera pans over to show Leppy peeping in through the window, watching them like a pervert.
So Leppy's at the house.
He's at the house. He has arrived. Lila gets in bed a few moments pass, and then a drop of blood lands on her cheek. She opens her eyes and sees zombie Ozzy standing over her.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, there's Ozzy.
Yeah.
Like guts hanging
undead.
out.
Yeah.
All blue. Kind of like all the blood's drained out of him.
Okay,
like
blue, okay, he's not like glowing Jedi blue here,
yeah,
but like he's
not
like
blue.
more like
Yeah, he's not that.
He's more gray.
Yeah.
He looks more zombie-esque than
Yeah.
anything else. So then a hard cut to Lila sitting up in bed. Sunlight's filling the room. Ozzy's gone, but the blood drop is still on her cheek. She gets up, makes her way through the house. We see everyone else is still passed out from the night before. Hearing noises, she follows the sounds to the basement door. Opening the door, she sees the basement is now flooded with water.
The basement's flooding. Water is just pouring in.
Yeah, she makes her way to the water shutoff valve, which is huge, by the way. Like, I've never seen a water valve this big inside of a house. Like, it's almost
only in Resident Evil video games.
Yes, I would say it's almost as
got
big
the
as
handle.
it's like those round spinning door locks you see on like naval ships, like in the corners of a naval ship to seal off a section of
Always
ship.
those submarine movies where they're like, no, run! They
And you
gotta
have,
close
those
off. And
giant wheels.
and there's always some asshole on the other side. He's like,
Like, we can't open the door. It's basically one of those wheels. It's gigantic. Like the water stuff in my house is like a little faucet thing. It's like a hose spigot. Like there you go. This thing is gigantic. Anyway, so Leppy is prying around in the water like a goddamn alligator. We see his jaunty hat breach the surface of the water along his eyes.
Dude, immediately I thought, deepest, bluest, my head is like a shark's fin.
Deepest.
I thought LL Cool J
Oh man,
going back.
great callback to that. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But Jaws like music it's like Jaws ripoff music starts playing as he's making his way through the water towards Lila. But Leppy submerges himself and moves off when Rose comes down the stairs freaking out about the flooding. Lila's like, hey, I can fix it. Just let me use the well's water pump. I can drain the water, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's when Lila notices a shelf full of jarred liquids. She asked Rose about them, and Rose Rose says that Meredith likes to juice fruit and vegetables from the garden, which she then infuses with vodka. And so the two girls go back upstairs, and Leppy pops up out of the water. He says another one-liner, and that's it. We cut later into the day. Everyone's working around the house, fixing things up, or like installing all the new shit and all that, except for Matt, who is flying a drone around the house.
He's filming around the house.
Yeah, with the drone.
Which, man, you gotta, for movies today, you gotta have someone who has a drone license who can fly them around and record as well. Because man, ever since drones have come in, there's so many drone shots in every movie I've seen.
Oh yeah,
man, it's like
I was the one that really struck home for me was, you didn't see it, but House is October Built 2 that Chris Samples and I watched. God, they droned the fuck out of that thing. Like, it was Jesus Christ. He was like, look at our drone, look at our drone, look at our drone, drone, look at the drone. It was Jesus. It was enough. Anyway, yeah, I get your point. Lila ends up in the old barn where she starts hearing banging noises. She bumps into Matt, who says, hey, I just came in to help you. She uses some weird metal object to pull over this giant plastic water container or cistern. Leppy pops his head out from behind some plastic sheeting, uses his magic to make a pitchfork slowly start to fly towards Layla from behind her.
Like, okay, here it goes.
There you go. And he tries to send it rushing at her, but turns out that being without his gold for 25 years has weakened his magic.
He is flaccid.
And yeah. And the pitchfork just drops harmlessly to the ground.
Like a limp dick. Boom.
Lila and Matt roll the cistern out, the large container out of the barn.
Yeah, and Leppy comments too. He even says, "Oh, I'm without me powers."
Yeah,
he's basically letting the audience know that he's in a weakened state.
Yeah,
he can't do his
exposition here. He's like, he's telling exactly what's going on. So yeah, Lila and Matt roll this giant water thing out, and they're getting to know each other. We learned that this is where Matt wants to be a filmmaker, and he's supposed to be making a documentary on the house renovation project. Why? I don't fucking know. It just seems lame to me. Just a lame excuse. But
again, they're students, so you gotta, this could be a project for his class.
I guess. I mean, I thought the same thing too. It was like it just seemed like clunky writing. He was like,
I didn't think he was clunky.
Really,
it explains why he's there fucking around with a drone, and filming crap.
But the thing is, like,
And he drops names while he's doing this too. He's like, well, if you're gonna be a director these
Martin
days
Scorsese
or
or
filmer,
this, yeah,
you got to be like Scorsese or Rodriguez.
But I don't understand. Like, it would make sense. But the way they introduce his character is when he shows up with Matt and Andy.
Like he just got picked.
Yeah,
up.
it's like Mary just picked him up at the bar. So like she picked up her pizza beer and like, oh, you guys want to come up and join us? That's what it seems like. But then he's like, oh no, I'm actually like, if he was there to film, like he would just been there and like said that. Like it was just it's just a weird way.
Okay, now I thought you're right. That part is a little clunky.
Yeah, because like we introduced like, oh, they just picked up these two guys, you know, at the bar or the pizza shop and invited them up. Not like, because otherwise Andy should have been there, or Matt. Right. I'm sorry, Matt should have already been there filming because they'd been there working this whole time.
You already fucked up their names.
Yeah, see, so it seemed weird. Anyway, Lila gets scared when she sees zombie Ozzy's reflection in an old mirror.
Which I do kind of like, because she's like, go away. And he's like, whoa, sorry, I didn't mean it. He's like, no. I thought I saw a dead Ozzy in the mirror with his guts hanging out. And she goes, and I don't know why I told you that. Yeah. So I liked that a little bit.
No, I know I had this later, but there is actually, with the exception of what I just said about the clunky thing about Matt saying about the drone or his filming, the writing in this is actually pretty good. And there's a lot of good, subtle humor in this.
Yeah.
And especially from Lila's point of view, like she gets better and better as this movie gets on. And her lines are really well delivered. And there's a lot of humor. And like I was surprisingly happy with it. Like this is, some of it actually made me laugh a bit. And like, that's pretty good. That's funny. So bonus points to this movie. Like, I was like, all right, good. All right, points for you guys. I'm on board. Anyway, so her reaction seems to scare Matt off. He excuses himself. He leaves. Actually, I just said there's some really great still humor moments. Whereas Reiner delivered the lines of both. I'm really surprised how funny this movie was. Also, Taylor Spritler, who plays Lila, seems to get better and better. Blah. Not like I said, there's no way we're going to be able to probably relay all the humor in this movie. I just need to know that it's there.
Yeah. Again, because then we'd just be
we basically just watch the whole movie. It's just really well done in my opinion. Unlike the other Leprechaun movies where the humor was like forced. Exactly, that's right. It was forced, really bad.
This is much more organic. Kind of flows naturally.
You're like, I swear to God, like you have extra vision of reading my notes. It seems to flow naturally. Is more subtle than the other slapstick-ass crap in the other movies.
But then again, I did like some of the slapstick stuff. And that's where Leppy comes in. That's Leppy's stuff. That's his. So when the other characters have humor and are able to talk and like still have humor as well and not be slapstick, I'm very happy.
Yeah,
if everything's slapstick,
really well done.
Fun.
So I gotta give credits to Susan Kelly who wrote this. Good job for her. It was really, really well written in my opinion. For a lot better than what I was expecting going into this. Anyway, Kate gets the fuse box up and running after the solar panels get installed and they now have power. Which I don't know how solar panels work, but I didn't think you would instantly. I thought that's something that had to like gather up energy over time. And you didn't just throw up a solar panel, turn on power, and it's there.
Well, it depends if they were already like charging at batteries.
But I don't know if they were because they said they didn't have any power, and they were even the solar panels weren't even fully installed. We see them installing the last one, and then all of a sudden they have power. So that might be something that's not right, but whatever. We cut to the local mailman on his route. He opens a roadside mailbox, inserts the letter, but as he pulls his hand out, his hand gets cut by something inside the box. He looks inside the mailbox, and we see Leppy's glowing yellow eyes appear in the darkness. And then we see Leppy's hand lunge out, grab the mailman by the face. Leppy pulls the mailman's head into the mailbox with him, I suppose. This is like a TARDIS mailbox. It fits Leprechaun and a mailman's head now. The mailman screams as we see Leppy now out of the mailbox, scurry away. Leppy gets inside the mailman's vehicle, his truck or whatever. The mailman is able to rip the mailbox off the post, but the box is still stuck on his head.
I kind of love this.
Yeah, I liked it too. He stumbles around for a bit, runs face first into the back of his mail vehicle. This causes him to fall to the ground. Leppy throws the mail vehicle into reverse, drives over the mailbox with the mailman's head still inside. Blood erupts from the mailbox,
washing that motherfucker's head
as it's flattened under the weight of the mail truck or whatever.
Blood
it is.
Just squirts out everywhere.
Leppy gets out, flips the flag on the mailbox, says another one-liner, cleans the blood off his shoes, so another shoe reference. Walks back to the house while speaking in rhyme and limericks. So again, another good kill there.
Very good kill. And at the same time, it's like a good looking but probably very inexpensive kill.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
How you get a dummy, you put a mailbox on his head, fill it full of fake blood, run it over. Looks great, fun, great way to make a cheap kill.
it kept the kind of that Leprechaun feel to the kills without being overly slapstickish like we see in a lot of the other remakes, or not remakes, but other sequels. So again, I'm on board. I still like it. I'm like, cool, that was fun. You know,
yeah, it's a fun kill, but not too slapstick.
Yeah, exactly.
Not too much,
It's not like in Leprechaun 2 where he's running people down with a go-kart, with a Mario Kart. Yeah. You know, it's too much. But I will say my one problem at this point is the voice of Leprechaun gets on my nerves a lot in this movie.
Oh, can we talk
it's
about
just
that for a
so high-pitched all the time.
And this is when I really miss Warwick Davis.
Yeah, and I get it.
I really miss
like
Warwick
the guy
Davis.
didn't do a bad job. Like he wasn't really overall that bad, but it's just his voice was so high pitched all the time.
Warwick Davis in Leprechaun, he had a high pitched voice, but sometimes he'd come down deep and be fucking scary, like menacing. Like he'd come down, like he had a way more range.
Yeah,
this guy just constantly talking like this the whole time. Lucky Charms, you know.
I agree. Like which kind of like even some of his better lines and one-liners, especially near the end of the movie, even they're good, but just kind of aren't as good because they're delivered in that high pitched that's the one thing about this movie that drove me nuts. Like everything else, I was actually on board. Like I pretty much liked it, but it's like his voice just was like, oh god, I can't handle it. It's so high pitched all the time, and then you add in his high pitched laughter, which is all the time. He's rhyming and laughing constantly. It's like enough. I get it's Leprechaun, but that's the one thing they could have pulled back the range on a little bit more, and still would have been just as fine, you know, without, you know, for the rest of the movie. Anyway, so at the house, Lila's in the shower. We see Leppy's hand reaching out for the shower curtain, but then so you think he's gonna like open the shower curtain and get her, but nope, it's Leppy being a dick, really, because instead of going after her, he flushes the toilet on her, which makes it, you know, the whole water temperature go.
The hot water's gone, the cold water remains.
Which made me laugh too. I was like, like that's just a dick move by Leppy there. So she creams out in shock and sudden change of water. It's just a funny little scene. Later in the living room, everyone's gathered around, hanging out, talking. Matt shows Lila some of his aerial drone for video footage. And that's where they notice something moving in the bushes, which they chalk up to being a rabbit, which obviously it's Leprechaun, but they don't get good sight of it. Oh, it's probably just a rabbit. Rose freaks out because to her, rabbits will eat through their garden in no time flat. She's like, I gotta put up fences now. And that's when Irish music starts playing over their speakers. Katie is upset because the fuse box can't handle so much power right now, so turn the speakers off or something like that. Lila mentions, hey, I have a portable speaker in my car. I can just plug it into in my room. I can plug my phone into it, and then she leaves to go get that. Meredith says something like, great, now we'll be listening to the Wicked soundtrack all night, which is kind of funny, but
it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
because I know girls who love that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so Lila grabs the speaker from her bedroom, but when she turns to leave, she hears a noise. She sets the speaker down, goes over to the bed, which we see has this giant stuffed panda bear on it under a blanket. Bear,
you know, probably about 3 feet tall.
Yeah, it's one of those giant ones you almost see like, you know, like amusement parks, like oversized one at Valentine's Day, stuff like that. So hearing noise, she looks under her bed and pulls out the now decapitated stuffed panda body. She removes the panda. So she looks up. So she's getting confused. She looks up, screams in fear. She sees Leppy standing on her bed wearing the stuffed panda head over his head.
It's really weird.
It is really weird. He removes the panda head, spits out some cotton, hops down, and walks towards Lila, who's scattered, you know, kind of scattered backward.
Backing up, screaming like, ah! Yeah.
She says something about being a figment of her imagination, and he says, do I look like a figment of your imagination to you? And she hits him over the head with a fake decorative plant or something and scrambles away.
I do like it all through this movie. There's times Leppy gets the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
He just goes flying off screen. Yeah. And I just chuckle.
He takes a lot of hits in this movie. So Leppy grabs her ankle, and I thought, you know, you think like, oh my god, he's gonna bite into her ankle, bite her Achilles.
He's reaching for his mouth is coming for the Achilles, and he's got a well-documented history of biting people. Yeah. I mean, even if you go back to the first one, he was biting people,
Ozzy's ears,
and scratching people. Yeah.
But instead, he licks her. He licks her ankle, saying "fruity and full body with hints of your mother." Lila now realizes that Leppy was the monster that her mother kept talking about, and that she wasn't crazy after all. Leppy talks about how Lila's mother and her friends tried to kill him, but that you can't truly kill Leprechaun if there's even a tiny piece of it left. He goes on to say that with the help of the piece of gold he took from Ozzy's stomach, he was able to reform.
Because in the
in the first one, Ozzy swallows a piece of gold
because he thought it was chocolate.
So let me get this straight. You're telling me that over the course of 25 years, Ozzy never shit out that single gold coin?
Right?
I'm like, bullshit, I say.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
I mean,
I gave my nut. A dog will poop out like a ring if it eats. There's like, you can poop shit out. It's not gonna that. There's no way that thing sat in his stomach for 25 years.
That's without causing any problems.
Yeah, exactly. No digestive issues, no pain.
Even the slim possibility that it does just, wind up on the side of the large intestines and it just sits there and somehow gets hunkered down and everything's still able to pass without pulling it out. It would dissolve. It would, because gold is a very soft metal.
Yeah.
He'd be pretty fucked.
25,
Pretty proper fucked after 25 years.
Yeah,
however, still kind of like it.
I like
But now this is something I don't like, is when it says, even if one piece of Leprechaun still exists, are we going on a molecular scale here?
Yeah,
what kind of scale are we using? Because 25 years in a fucking well, your body's just going to melt into nothing.
And then leeches and maggots and all
that.
Plus,
you were fucking melting when you fell in there to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. He would be...
What?
We're talking like Ant-Man subatomic level, whatever, like zone where we go subatomic.
How deep are we going here?
We're going deep into that. That's a great question too, but yeah, I thought the same thing. But I was like, that to me was the biggest bullshit of this movie. Was like that coin still being there for 25 years, and now you're talking about like one piece of a leprechaun. Like exactly how small are we going here?
How small of a piece are we talking here?
One cell, one part, one
when
little
this water explodes, there's one remaining cell of leprechaun that Ozzy swallowed. That one cell happens to find that gold. It's like, sweet,
yeah.
Come back, baby.
So he tells her that he wants the rest of his gold, and she tells him like, "Hey, I don't know anything about it. I don't know what you're talking about." Leppy sees her necklace, which is made from a gold coin. It looks like one of his gold coins, and he tries to take it, but when he touches it, it burns his hand. Confused, Leppy demands to know what trickery this is, and Lila tells him that her mother gave it to her, saying it would protect her. Leppy's like, "It looks just like me gold," and is confused why he can't take it. The necklace is made of fool's gold, which is just iron pyrite, or pyrite, which is heavy in iron. And iron is the leprechauns, like garlic is the vampires. It burns them and harms them.
Or like holy water.
Holy water. Yeah, that's another one. Holy water.
Cross or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's something that they brings back to the first Leprechaun movie. They even touch on that. They did touch on that in the second one.
They really harped on it in the second one. They were really heavy with it in the second one because they lock him in an iron safe.
And like they had a iron piece of rhubarb.
Yeah, rebar that they were fighting him with.
Yeah. So they did bring that bit of lore back as well. Seeing an opening, Lila kicks Leppy. She grabs a hardback book and is about to smash him with it, but the power goes out.
Dude, when she kicks him, again, he's a little person.
So little.
He just goes, like, just flies on the screen. Just like,
I know it's probably wrong to say, but it's maybe sick in a way, but it's like, yeah, you get some kind of weird enjoyment of watching this little person just go flying around the room, get beat on.
I know.
Like, what's wrong with us?
I'm not proud of it.
No, but it is funny.
I just can't go.
So out in the living room, the rest of the group's all bummed about the power being out. Everyone at this point kind of goes their own way to do. And Matt hears some banging noises, and Layla, so he goes to check on her. Layla is in her room, turning in circles, using the flash on her phone, trying to find Leppy, who is making perverted jokes and puns in the dark and like all sorts of stuff. He pops up in front of her. She smashes him upside the head with the book. She hits him so hard that she nearly knocks his head clean off his shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, she knocks his head, basically breaking his neck. It's just hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
Green goo is spraying out everywhere.
Yeah, sprout out of his severed
puts
knuckle.
his head back on and giggles and says, "You give good head."
Yeah, the obvious cliche one line there. Do you give good head? Matt calls out from her from the other side of the door from the other room, and Leppy uses his voice mimicking powers to alter his voice to sound like Lila and tells Matt that, I'll be right there, and then he disappears into the darkness. We cut to Matt wandering through the house using his camera's night vision settings to see by. Leppy goes racing by him in a blur, knocking Matt over. Lila comes out to help him. Matt thinks it's just some sort of animal that got in the house.
Some sort of coyote or dog.
Yeah, there was
or
some
something.
kind of animal or something. And Lila says, hey, we need to find everyone and we need to do it quickly. So outside, Katie's working on the fuse box. She gets scared by Andy, who comes up behind her. They start making out and they end up having sex.
Takes her to Pound Town.
Go to Pound Town as Meredith watches from the kitchen window.
Like a proper perv.
Yep. Leppy shows up sitting on the kitchen counter. He rattles off another rhyme.
Yeah, so what was it? Meredith is watching.
Yeah.
She's watching these two bang, and she just looks over, and there's Leprechaun,
Yep.
and she's just, whoa.
And
What's up, little dude?
She does a spit take, which when she sees him spitting out the Goldschlager she was drinking, and Leppy drops a golden shower joke on here. Meredith and Leppy have a conversation.
Yeah, and she's not like
She's not freaked out,
or
no.
freaking out. She's like, whoa, dude. What's up, Leprechaun?
She's like, I guess I'm having alcohol hallucinations or weed, some kind of hallucination. And she ends up like taking a selfie
with
like,
them.
oh yeah, let's get a selfie together. So outside, Lila, Matt, and Rose all meet up. Lila tells them about Leprechaun. Of course, they don't believe her. But then Meredith comes outside talking about there's a deranged dwarf that's obsessed with money in the kitchen.
And then shows the selfie.
The selfie,
like,
yeah.
Here he is.
And Rose says that could be a crackhead that got his hands on some bad stuff. And to me, I might be overstretching, but to me, I think that's a reference to the famous viral video of a bunch of black people who thought they saw a leprechaun in a tree. And then someone yells out, it could be a crackhead. I think that is a reference to that video.
Dude, I fucking love that video so much. It was like in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite viral videos that you watch. If anybody's seen Leprechaun, say yeah! Yeah! And then the guy just looks at the camera, just full of gold teeth, and he's just like, he's like shrugging, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is funny. I'm like, I love that guy.
Yeah, I think that reference to that viral video.
Anybody see Leprechaun, say yeah! Yeah!
So I could be stretching, but that's what made me. That's the first thing I thought of. So the four of them decide to go find Kate and Andy. We cut to Kate and Andy, who have just finished banging. Andy heads off to take a leak. While he's pissing, Leppy walks up behind him, and just like Meredith, Andy also decides to take a selfie with Leppy.
Yeah.
So
this seems to be like the thing to
do. Take selfies with the leprechaun. Leppy tells him that he wants his gold, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So Leppy grabs Andy and lifts Andy up over his head like the old gorilla press slam of the Ultimate Warrior.
Just lifts him up over his head.
Which, in the visual of this, is just
ridiculous.
Fucking ridiculous, but I loved it.
Me too. I was like,
all right. It's so insane. Ludicrous. It's so ludicrous, but it's so funny at the same time. In the house, the others are creeping around looking for Leppy. Rose feels like the corner of a rug brushed up against her, and she's like, "Oh, it's got me!" And she freaks out. They get Leppy, and this causes everyone else to panic, and they all
run away, leaving her by herself.
Yes. Meanwhile, Katie is still trying to fix the fuse box. Matt, Lila, and Meredith come running out to the back door, meet up with Katie. That's when Andy gets thrown into view from off screen. He lands in the dirt, rolls. Leppy walks into view. Matt gets up and challenges Leppy. Andy gets up, challenges Leppy. Andy grabs this long, round, like compost container that looks like a elongated bingo ball mixer thing.
Yeah, it's just a
compost
spinner thing.
Anyway, Andy throws it at Leppy. Leppy leaps on top of it and runs on like he was a lumberjack doing like the log run in the water, or whatever that thing's called. Leppy then jumps off, kicks the compost thing back at Andy. It hits Andy in the chest with such force that Andy is sent flying back like 20 feet through the air, smashes up against the side of the house, and then hits the ground.
Yeah, if that house was there, who knows how far he would have gone.
Exactly.
Like, he just that thing hit him, and he just went boom, just flying. I'm like, alright, not a fan of that so much.
Andy gets back up and says, 1 for Andy, which is, really? You just got your ass knocked out by a kick.
Yeah, but like, he seems fine. He gets up, brushes himself off.
He's like, 1 for Andy. You're like, no, that's really 1 for Leppy, but I guess you're saying it's 1 for you as in you're still standing, I guess. But it seems backwards. Anyway, Leppy replies saying, actually, it's 1 for me and 2 of you. And Leppy uses his magic force powers to cause the screws of one of the rooftop solar panels to pop out. The solar panel slides off the roof, and as it falls to the ground it vertically splits Andy in half. Andy. I'm sorry, Andy.
You are fucking.
I'm sorry. These two are just like back and forth. All the others scream as the two halves of Andy peel away from the solar panel and fall to the ground, which is a great looking effect. Like, I was so surprised by I thought how good this actually
Great
turned
looking
out looking.
effect. Great
I was
looking
like, wow.
effect. Never gonna happen.
Never gonna happen. Never, ever, ever. Never, ever,
Never,
ever,
ever,
ever, ever, ever. Never. Yeah, thank you. That's what I was trying.
Little in vogue there.
That's what I was trying to do. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, it would never happen, but it looks great. I was really surprised. I was like, holy shit, that actually looks really good for this.
Yeah,
this movie.
the solar panel would bonk him on the head, and he'd fall over going, ah! The solar panels aren't that heavy. And they're not made
sharp.
of
they're not
adamantium.
Yeah, they're not razor sharp. Yeah. The sides are blunt, not blade thin. But yeah, it would never happen, but it looks great. It's a great looking kill. They all run to the car, but realize they don't have the keys, and then they realize that Rose is not with them either. So we cut to Rose hiding in the closet. She opens the door to peek her head out, and we see Leppy's jaunty hat come rolling into view, comes to a stop right in front of her. Leppy leaps out from his hat, rips his face off for some reason, and screams at Rose.
She starts screaming. He's like, oh, and he rips his face off and starts screaming back at her. It's fucking cool.
It does.
This scene where the hat rolls in, he jumps out of the hat and rips his face off. I'm like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. But
I like it.
I like it too, but I like it, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, I get, okay, jump out of the hat, cool, magic trick. I get that, but just scream, like, why are you ripping your face off? Like, there's no reason.
Just keep fucking with her, I guess.
That's so weird.
But I liked it.
Yeah, he rips his face off. While Leppy puts his face back on, Rose grabs a high heel shoe and starts beating him with it. After a few smacks, the heel of the shoe sticks or stabs through Leppy's skull. He pulls it out, and a geyser of green blood splurts out of his skull
over
hole.
her.
Yeah, all over her. Rose starts throwing more shoes at Leppy, which and then he takes offense to being called a troll, which I thought was kind of funny. Rose gets up, runs away as Leppy cleans up all the shoes she's throwing around.
Going back to the shoes, he's like, why is she doing this? It's like freaking him out.
And he does make a good joke about Crocs in there. I will say that when it comes to the Crocs.
I missed it.
It's something about killing fashion. I just like why she killed fashion with wearing these things. He's holding up a Croc or something. Like, I don't get it, but it was funny at the time. Outside, the others argue over what to do. They do decide to go back inside to get the car keys and Rose if they can. But keys are priority one. Lila gets the keys while Meredith stands watch. Meanwhile, Katie and Matt sneak in through the back door to meet up with Rose. Lila and Meredith go to leave, but they see Leppy outside blocking their path to the car. So Meredith suggests that they hide in the basement for a while until he leaves. Lila's like, okay, she goes down first. Meredith then slams the door, jams it with a chair, locking Lila in the basement.
Yeah, so she's basically fucking over Meredith.
Lila,
pardon me. Meredith is fucking over Lila.
Yeah, Meredith tells her that Leppy just wants his gold, and if she, being Lila, gives it to him, then she'll be okay.
So she's going to make a deal with the Leprechaun.
Yeah, so Lila begs and pleads with Meredith, but Meredith just leaves her trapped in the basement.
What a bitch.
Exactly. Meredith runs back to the car where the other three are waiting. She tells them that the others that Leppy killed Lila and that they need to go now. So they all get in the car. They start the car up. Leppy then just magically appears in the back seat, sitting between Katie and Matt. Katie, they scream. Katie gets out of the car. Then Matt punches Leppy, knocking him out of the open car door.
Just flies off screen.
Katie leaps back in, tries to leap back into the car, but doesn't quite. Her legs are dangling out of the open car door. As they very slowly drive away.
Slowly roll down the driveway. And Leprechaun is even looking at it going, what?
Yeah, he makes a joke about the very slow moving car, horsepower Prius being the car. This is this is the cars of the future, and it's a Prius, is hybrid thing that's barely able to move, has no horsepower, no power. Leppy gets up, dusts himself off, goes back into the house. In the basement, Lila finds a lantern to use it for light. She also comes face to face with zombie Ozzy again.
I like how you're finds a lamp, finds a zombie. Yeah. She comes face to face with Ozzy the zombie. Now, here he is right in front of her.
Yep.
No quick little flashes, no tricks. He's right there in front of her.
Zombie Ozzy can't talk, so this leads to the two of them basically playing a game of charades. And another fucking funny moment where she's like, He's basically reenacting the whole ending of Leprechaun 1. And if you've seen the movie, you get what he's doing. But
exactly.
Lila's just like, I didn't get any of that. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I thought that was a good...
It's pretty good.
Well done.
It is. Yeah. It's really well done. Lila also gives Ozzy a roll of plastic wrap to help sealing his exposed and dangling
intestines. He's holding his guts up against his stomach, and instead of holding him up, he saran wraps him on.
Yeah.
And he's like, ooh.
Ozzy then helps her find a map that he and Jennifer Aniston and Alex, the other guy, basically made, and then they hid it in the basement wall behind a loose brick, and it will lead her to Leprechaun's goal.
And it also has like a list of his powers.
Yes, a list of his strengths and weaknesses on it. So this is how Lila learns that Clover is getting hurt Leppy. There's also a very solid David Blaine joke in this bit too, which I was very happy with.
Yeah.
Then she uses a hammer to rip away the metal fencing that's blocking the basement window and to make her escape. We cut back to the car driving away. They all start getting excited about the fact that they think they've gotten away. Rose mentions that she feels bad about Lila, and then Meredith mumbles under her breath that she's getting what she deserves. Rose picks up on this. Meredith comes clean about what she did.
Yeah, that she locked her in the basement and she wasn't killed by Leprechaun.
Yeah, this leads to a slap fight between Rose and Meredith, who is driving the car drunk, by the way. The fight is about to, go up to the next level. It's about to, turn up a notch. But they all start hearing a buzzing noise. And we cut to Leppy riding on the back of the drone as he flies it up to the car. Again, the visual of this scene is fucking ludicrous. It's ridiculous, but I kind of love it. I love it too.
I kind of like it.
I like it too. Meredith starts swerving the car and Leppy like the speeder bike scene from like Return of the Jedi.
They're trying to ram each other.
Yeah, they're bumping each other. And it's just funny. Leppy is sitting on top of
straddling this drone,
and he's got the drone remote. He's in his hand, so he's controlling it while he's flying on top of it. And they're like bump. It's like the speeder bike. They're like crashing into each other and like trying to knock each other off the road. And Meredith then rams the side of the car into the Leppy on the drone. Leppy swerves to the right, and also just like in Return of the Jedi, Leppy flies into a tree. Only instead of exploding, a long tree branch impales itself straight through one of Leppy's soft eye holes.
Goes right through his eye, just
out the back of his skull.
Green goo flying everywhere. Just awesome visual.
Yeah, I said to say, I wanted to get a good looking effect.
Yeah.
The green, it just drip off the branch. I was so, I'm like, I can't say enough. Wow. They really did a good job.
His eye gets impaled on the tree. And the kids in the car are like, "Yay, we did it!"
Yeah, they're looking back, excited they got that.
They're all looking back.
Meredith turns around just in time to swerve out of the way from smashing into Ozzy's truck, but in doing so, she swerves and crashes into a tree instead. Everyone in the car is okay. They get out, search Ozzy's trucks for keys to his truck.
So they're like, "We can't use the car, but we got the let's find the keys to the truck."
Exactly, and that's when Katie spots Ozzy's dead body a few feet away in the woods. After the initial shock, she starts to fish for the keys in Ozzy's overalls. Leppy appears out of nowhere right in front of Katie, so I guess he would be like standing on Ozzy's dead body because like she's just there.
He's right there.
Leppy has this giant hole in his face from where the tree branch went through it. Katie grabs a branch, leg sweeps Leppy, and then tries to run away, but Leppy uses his magic to trip her. Leppy even mentions that his gold must be near because he's feeling more like his old self. He then pulls out one of Ozzy's eyes and smushes it into his empty eye socket, replacing his recently lost eye.
Kind of like that too.
So now he's got a blue eye and a green eye. Meredith says to Leppy, "We had a deal. You said if I gave you Lila, you wouldn't lay a hand on me." So you kind of see where that's going.
Yeah.
Leppy says, Leprechaun always keeps his word. I won't lay a hand on you. We're friends. Meredith takes off running into the woods.
She just takes off running. Yeah.
And she comes to some sort of like large garden or small field of crops or something. As she runs through it, all the sprinklers turn on. Meredith gets drenched by all the spraying sprinklers. Now, at first, I'm like, okay, I thought there was going to be spraying acid. That's the first thing. I'm like, I'm going to spray acid out. She's going to make this be great. Nope. Just water.
Just water.
Meredith.
But then the water spigots aren't just spraying randomly. They also need spraying directly at her.
At her, yeah. She's drenched. She comes to a stop. We see Leppy staying at the edge of the garden, using his hands, controlling the sprinklers like a conductor controlling an orchestra. Sprinkler heads start popping off and flying at Meredith, just pelting her. She's getting pelted by sprinkler heads.
You told me you wouldn't hurt me. I said I wouldn't lay a hand on
you.
Yeah,
you promised while you're doing this. Leppy kind of said, I wouldn't lay a hand on you. I didn't say I wouldn't kill you. With that, Leppy does one more large hand gesture. A final sprinkler head pops off and hits Meredith right in the mouth where it sticks in her face.
Just right into her mouth.
Blood sprays out the sprinkler head like splurts of water. Meredith collapses dead on the soggy ground, blood splurting out of the sprinkler head in her mouth. Leppy laughs, recites some more puns and one-liners, and
I would like to see if, like, when the blood was splurting out of her mouth through the sprinkler head, of her doing
of her head.
Then like, the quick little just if she did that. That'd be awesome.
That would be funny, but I don't know how. Yeah, I guess. I mean, use obviously Leppy's magic, but yeah, I don't know how they would explain that, do that one. But yeah, I thought the same thing. We catch up with Katie, Rose, and Matt as they slowly make their way through the woods. They find the drone, which Matt says he thinks he can fix, and he tells the girls to go back to the house and get the power turned back on.
Cause why?
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Fix your drone?
Like, why do you need to fix your drone right now? Like, who? Do you have more impressive things to use?
What to
do?
What? Okay, if you can fix the drone, what are you going to use it for? To fly into them?
No, here's my thing. I don't know if they do a very good job of explaining it, but what they get from it is that he can use the drone basically like I did in the Army, as a spy drone to scout around for Leppy, to figure out where he is in relation to where they are. So they can, okay, he's here, we can go this way. They basically use it as a spy drone now.
There you go.
That's what I think they're going for, but they don't really do.
They did not.
They don't do a great job of explaining
because I had no idea what they were going to do it for.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's like, why would you stop and fix the drone now? The only way I fix it is because later when he sees it up and working, you see him scouting for Leppy, and that's what they don't say. That's why. It doesn't make sense at the time. We cut to Lila crawling out of the basement window. Once out, she starts following the map looking for the pot of gold. We jump back to Matt, who's gotten the drone working again, and he uses it to scout for Leppy, who he finds instantly, by the way. It doesn't take him any time. He turns up. Oh, there he is.
There he is. Found him.
Leppy also instantly spots the drone. He's like, hey, I see you too. And Katie and Rose seem to have gotten lost in the woods. They start hearing rustling in the leaves, but it's just Lila who comes up behind them. She fills them in on everything that happens, and she leads them off to continue the search for the gold. We go back to Matt and the drone. Leppy pops up behind Matt and says, lights, camera, decapitation. With that, he uses his magic to take control of the drone and has it fly into Matt's neck.
Very,
very slowly.
Very, very slowly.
Yeah, the spinning blades of the drone make short work of Matt's neck and cuts his head clean off his shoulders. But as Aaron said, it's so slowly that Matt has plenty of time to move out of the way, but he just stands there screaming for help.
He's just standing there going, ah!
Again, this is just like the scene from Iced with the fucking bulldozer and the guy just laying there. Or you can bring it back to that Austin Powers movie.
The Austin Powers guy.
Thing. He's like, move
watch
out of the way!
Watch out!
No! It's just like, dude, you could easily just move.
Yeah.
Get out of the way. And it's a drone. Like, yeah, I don't know. Even if the blade started cutting, like I don't think it would kill you. That you would have enough time, like just grab it with your hand and hold it. Like it's like
throw it on the ground.
Throw it on the ground. Like,
slap it aside.
Yeah, I was like, it's not gonna kill you. But anyway, either way, even though it's kind of lame, it's still a good looking effect. It looks great.
Cuts off the head. The head splurts blood, but that's probably my least favorite kill. Probably the weakest kill there.
Well, and the fact that he had he had time to move. Damn it! Yes. If it happened faster, then it wouldn't be so bad. But it's so slowly.
Like, if it came in with a lot of velocity and it's like, whoop, then I could be like, okay, yeah,
cool. But it's so slow. It's like, come on. We go back to the girls. They find the old rusted out truck from the first movie. It's on this field.
Yeah. So another throwback to the rusted out truck from number one.
They find the pot of gold inside the truck.
And they're all like, yay!
But to their chagrin, the pot is nearly empty.
Yeah, they're just like,
this is it? This is what
they
he wants?
even said, they're like, this is the payoff? Not that impressed. It's like a fourth full.
Yeah.
There's just like a few coins at the bottom still.
Rose comes clean, saying that she found the pot of gold months ago, and she took most of the gold to help pay for the house project. She even pulls out a small notebook that she used to keep track of what she spent so she could pay it back later. Which I thought was weird. Like, if you found a pot of gold in an old truck out in the middle of nowhere, like
mine.
Why am I going to pay this back? It's been, like, who are you paying back at that time? Like, whoever belonged to there ain't coming back. Like, that's a weird thing to keep track of. But anyway, hey, she's honest. She's a good person, whatever.
She's also kind of one of that type A personality.
Yeah. So after Katie and Lila get over their shock and kind of anger at Rose's actions, Kate says, okay, we just have to go to the cash for gold place and get it back. But Rose's like, we can't because it's in Bismarck.
Yeah, so.
Which is really far away from where they are. So again, Katie flips out.
At least an hour and a half.
At least an hour and a half. Katie flips out saying, now we can't give Larry back his gold. We're as good as dead. Lila chimes in saying, no, the only thing left is for us to use his strength against him and kill him. Now, which is weird. I don't know how you use their strengths against somebody. It would be use his weaknesses against him and kill him, and not just strengths. we get a dramatic shot of Leppy on top of a hill, which is in like backflip, like kind of fog or
yeah.
But
they cut away from the gals talking, and then they cut to Leppy on this hill with this dramatic backlit, like scene, like bum bum bum,
and then right back.
And then
to
they
the girl.
cut right back to the girls.
It's basically just the lens, like I guess to show like a little bit of time passing.
Yeah,
like, that's all it is. But it's like that's weird. We go back. They're outside the barn arguing about what to do while Leppy eavesdrops on them from the barn. Katie and Rose insist on leaving while Lila wants to stay and give Leppy his goal. So Katie and Rose storm off in anger, leaving Lila alone, holding the now overflowing pot of gold.
Wait, we missed a fun scene then. We missed a fun scene. It was probably right before they showed that dramatic picture of Leppy. There's a fun moment there when Lila's like, we're going to go ahead. We're going to use his weaknesses against him.
Yeah.
We're going to use his strengths against him. All right, let's go. And she turns and she's walking towards the camera while the two are in the background.
She's walking away from the camera.
Yeah. But it's and the one girl goes, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" And she goes, I don't know. It just felt right at the time.
Yeah.
I guess we should get a
No,
plan
that's
together.
a great. Yeah, it's
it
great.
was fucking hilarious.
It is hilarious. And there's another one of those.
Yeah.
Later, there's one or two more of those instances later. But again, that's another example of like the funny writing in this movie. It's so well done.
I laughed out loud.
I laughed too. Like I did too. I was like, that's funny. But it's like,
because you always see that in movies, these dramatic, simple plans. We're gonna use his weaknesses against them. Okay, and then they just like walk off dramatically.
Yeah.
And then she's
like,
walking out dramatically. Like, where are you going? She's, I don't know. It just felt right at the time.
Like it's the wrong way. We gotta go. Like, oh yeah, we gotta go. But
I guess we should come up with a real plan.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was. It was really good. So we go to Lila in the living room holding the pot of gold. Leppy shows up. She offers him, like here it is. She offers the gold back.
Overflowing pot of gold.
He takes the pot, sits down, starts counting it. Lila starts to step away, but Leppy freezes her in place with his force power and forces her to sit down in a chair while he counts it. Now, I did have a problem with this because the whole iron thing, because when you see the pot is clearly like a cast iron pot. So how is he able to touch his pot without freaking out?
Unless it's plastic.
But it's not. I mean, you see the pot, like it's clearly
it's definitely an iron.
It's supposed to be an iron pot.
Small cauldron.
Yeah, it's small. It's like, so how is he able to touch his own gold, his own pot of gold? He should be like, that bothered me. That didn't make any sense. But anyway, so he's counting his gold, and he pulls out a tampon from the pot of gold, and Lila says, I guess it's your time of month. Leppy tips the pot over. The few remaining gold coins that were on top fall off to reveal that the pot was filled with tampons.
To help add mass
to it. Again, you would think, like, if this is pot of gold, you would know, like, the weight would be off. Tampons and gold, like, I don't know. Maybe, gold's not, I don't know how heavy a pot of gold, but
he's been away for 25 years, so I'm going to give him a pass.
But that pot of gold has been here for thousands of years. He should know. He's a leprechaun. You would think a leprechaun would know the weight of his own pot of gold.
He's off his game.
Okay. All right. We'll chalk up to that. Lila shouts out, now! And Katie and Rose pop up from under sheets and start beating Leppy down with pillows filled with like hard metal blunt objects or something. They're just, I don't know what's in them. But they're beating them down.
I love watching this little person just get womp-a-lomped with pillows. I'm such a bad person. I'm just like,
Once Leppy seems unconscious, Lila tells the other two to go. Leppy gets up. Lila places her necklace around Leppy's neck, burning him and weakening him, and then starts placing various iron objects in a circle around Leppy, trapping him in like a, like you would like if you're summoning a demon, like and trap him in the pentagram or runes.
They got him.
They
seem that he's pretty fucked.
Yeah. Oh, again, this is something in the lore that's not quite clear. Like, I get he can't touch iron, but why would it build a force field? Like, he could just like walk in between as long as he's not touching it.
Yeah.
Like,
he can step over it, right?
Yeah, like it's not like you said, Gargar cross, like just the mere sight of it repulses and burns him. It's like it just can't touch it. So he should be, in theory, be able to just walk right over it or whatever. But he's trapped inside this circle. Outside, Katie rushes out to the fuse box. She comes across Andy split into a corpse. She stirs herself and tries to leap over the bloody remains, but she falls and falls face first in the bloody, visceral mess of his split corpse. Why she didn't just simply walk around him, I have no fucking clue. But anyway, she gets up, she fixes the fuse.
She's covered in blood.
Yeah, she fixes the fuse box.
I think it was an excuse just to kind of have a gross out factor.
I think so,
just
too.
To cover in blood.
Yeah, probably something. She turns the power back on. In the basement, Rose dumps all the clover juice that Meredith had made into a large bucket with the end of a hose in it. Upstairs, Leppy tries to make a deal with Lila, offering her one wish. She denies it, but Leppy turns up the heat on her by speaking in her mother's voice.
Very
saying that
Jennifer Aniston-esque.
That he can bring her mother, but it's not Jennifer Aniston.
It's not her, I know that, but it sounded a lot like her.
Now, the very first line, the very first few words, like, oh, is that Jennifer? And then the more he spoke, like, nope, that's not her. Then I clearly heard it wasn't. But
then I was like, okay, maybe it's an older version.
But
still, it was decent.
Just saying, yeah, it's the mom's voice. This almost works on Lila, but instead Lila shoves the other end of the hose down Leppy's throat. She says one shamrock shake coming up, then hides behind the couch as Leppy begins to bloat and expand. Eventually, Leppy explodes. He gets so big, he explodes in a bloody green mess. Green goo, blood, entrails.
Green goo goes flying everywhere.
It's splattering against the walls.
Completely burst. Gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Like thunder from Big Trouble in Little China.
I love that line when she says, how about shamrock shake coming up? And then she pauses and goes, I wish someone was here to hear that. Hear that. Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah. Good.
Like I said, there's so much good writing and humor in this movie. It really does. You need to hear it yourself to really appreciate it. Kate and Rose come rush in to see if their plan worked. Seeing the remains, they cheer. Lila tells them that the next they have to burn all the remains. So Lila and Katie go outside to gather wood for a fire, while Rose is left inside to sweep up all of Leppy's bloody guts. Now, what happens next is fucking ridiculous if we haven't had enough of that already, because the blood goo puddles start forming into tiny leprechauns, tiny leppies. So now there's like a dozen of these tiny leppies forming behind Rose, who's trying to get some sticky green goo off the bookcase. When she's finally able to yank the sticky goo off, she inadvertently knocks the golden trowel trophy off the bookcase onto the floor.
Trowel side up.
She turns around when she hears Tiny Leppy say, "You missed a spot." She attacks Tiny Leppy with her broom, swinging it wildly at him, but always missing. All the Tiny Leppies are running around her now. One slices her ankle while others are throwing shit at her. Two Tiny Leppies throw a claw hammer at Rose. The clawed end impales Rose right above the left boob. This leads to a stop hammer time joke and Tiny Leppy's doing the hammer dance. Rose pulls the hammer out of her chest and starts trying to smash all the Tiny Leppies with it. She hits one, sends it flying, but it hits the back of a cushioned chair. The Tiny Leppy bounces off the cushion, flies back towards Rose, grabs onto her face. Rose is struggling with this little leprechaun stuck on her face. She's able to rip off Tiny Leppy. It says to her, "I know something you don't," but Rose just goes feral here and bites into Tiny Leppy, just tears into it.
Just starts eating.
Basically eating it.
Biting him, chomping him to death.
Yeah. Katie and Lila finally start hearing the commotion. They rush back into the house. Rose says something like, "I spent last summer helping to stop poachers from killing elephants. I can handle a bunch of pint-sized pixies," or something like that. Mm-hmm. And she goes on the attack again, but the Tiny Leppies trip her with the broom. With the broomstick, Rose falls face first onto the golden trowel trophy, which punctures all the way through her skull. Blood splatting everywhere. Katie and Lila enter. The door locks behind them. They see Rose dead and all the Tiny Leppies around in the living room. Now, all the Tiny Leppies start running into each other, which slowly starts to rebuild regular Leppy.
Like the T-2000.
Exactly. It's like, and you see this bubbling up effect as these Tiny Leppies just jumping into the bigger puddles or whatever. Lila comes up with an idea saying that gold is the conductor, right? Leppy fully reforms at this point, uses his magic to knock over Katie. Lila tries to attack him with a giant letter U. Leppy stops her and uses the U to pin Lila to a wall. Leppy turns back to Katie, who has ripped a wire out from a lamp. Lila distracts Leppy by tossing him one of his gold coins, which he catches. Katie then touches the exposed electrical wires to the loose gold coins that Leppy's standing on, causing Leppy to get electrocuted. Leppy starts shaking and foaming from all the electricity surging through him.
All kinds of fucked up.
Sparks and flames are erupting off of him, setting the house on fire. Then Leppy goes up in flames himself. The girls start looking for a way out of the burning house. There's a fun thing here about the plexi, like the the glass in the windows are like this refurbished.
Oh yeah, didn't they try to break a window
With a chair? Yeah. The chair's bounced off, and Katie's like, "God damn you!" Like
energy efficient windows.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. So anyway, Leppy is stalking after them. He's fully engulfed.
He's in a full body burn.
Fully engulfed in flames. He's cackling. Lila takes Katie down to the basement and leads her over to the window that she used earlier to escape from. Leppy comes sledding down the stairs on a door head first.
On fire.
On fire while laughing. Katie has made it out the window and reaches back to help Lila out. One of Leppy's fire-engulfed hands reaches out, grabs Lila's ankle, which I'm surprised she didn't scream because like his hand he's burned. Like her hand's on fire.
He's on fire.
Speaking in her mother's voice again, he says, "Please don't leave me, Lila." She turns back to him, says, "I have a limerick for you. Eat a dick, ass Baggins." Then kicks him in the fiery face, and she goes out the window. So the girls run away as Leppy explodes. The shockwaves come through the window and knock the girls down as a large piece of shrapnel punctures Katie in the back. Lila helps her up and over to a tree. As they sit down, the whole fucking house now explodes. Baboosh. Just massive explosion.
Huge explosion.
After the explosion, we get a second, like this giant, like 100, 200 foot giant geyser of green blood and goo just erupts from the remains of the house. And
splash into the gals.
Covers him in green goo.
Just covers him in green goo.
Lila looks up and sees Ghost Ozzy waving at her. She waves back. Katie's like, "Who the hell are you waving to?" And she's like, "Never mind, nobody." No. Up drives a car with the words Larimore University on the side. Some guy gets out freaking out about what? Oh my God, what happened? What happened here? He finds the girls, asks them if they're okay. Lila says, "Yeah," and that maybe the best green footprint is no footprint at all. The two girls turn and start walking away again, but Katie then says, "Actually, I'm probably going to need a ride. I'm losing a lot of blood.
I'm losing a lot of blood here.
I think I could use that ride." Like, and Lila's like, "Yeah, okay." And they turn around and go back to the car. We cut to Leppy's jaunty hat lying in the flaming rubble. The next morning, we see this large old truck filled with livestock driving down this rural road. We see walking down said road is Leprechaun with his hitcher's thumb out, and I think a sign that says
Bismarck or bust.
Yes. The truck stops, Leppy hops in the back, and it drives off with him sitting in the back with a bunch of chickens and stuff
looking
like that.
Looking kind of
yeah.
What a revolting development.
Yeah, here we go again. God. And we fade to black, roll the credits. That Moon Goons is Leprechaun Returns. Fun ride that was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about the ending, but actually, I don't think I really like the ending. I didn't care. I'm great with the explosion, and they should just ended with like that line, like, "I'm actually losing a lot. I need that ride." And they just had the girls walking to the car, and then if you want, show the Leprechaun's jaunty hat in the flames and just fade to black there. I'm good with that, but having the Leprechaun do the hitchhiking thing at the end, I didn't like that at all.
I didn't really
because first we just saw the guy explode. On fire, explode. So even if there was a piece left, those pieces were on fire and would have burnt away. He should be dead. Like he should legitimately be dead by all, especially by the lore that they just made up. Because anything that was left, like I said, would have been burnt. Wouldn't have burned anyway.
Now, does fire kill Leprechaun? Is that one of the things that can kill him?
You would think. Well, they're saying you have to get rid of every piece of them.
Yeah.
Fire burns everything. If you burn it down to ash, it's not. No, it's no longer cells or Leprechaun or bone. It's gone.
Nothing.
So I don't think they need to set this up like there's going to be another sequel of this. Like this should have been that one and done. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like the ending personally. But anyway, let's move on to this week's favorite kills.
Don't act like you didn't love it. Favorite kill.
Good kills. Good kills.
I was very pleasantly surprised with the kills.
I gotta admit, I was pretty surprised by that too.
These were by far the best kills in the entire Leprechaun series. Like all the other
I agree.
sequels.
I mean, this is some fantastic kills. Also, just really good gore.
Yeah.
Overall.
Again, surprisingly amount of gore for a movie that's on SyFy.
Yeah.
Because sometimes like those shark movies aren't really that gory. It's just people getting eaten.
Even my least favorite kill, even the propeller with the drones, even though it was going super slow, I think one of the reasons it might have been going super slow was to see the blades cutting into the neck.
They did.
Because they get real tight shot of those blades cutting into, and you see the flesh ripping and blood
You see the
flying.
neck like being sawed away.
Yeah, and it's like, that's probably why they went super slow. Great effect. Didn't like the kill, but great effect.
Yeah.
So, man, my favorite kill... It's a toss-up. I really did like the split of Boy 1, whatever his fucking name was.
That was
Charlie,
Andy. Yeah.
Him getting split in half, because that was just cool looking, really good effect, really looked good, but at the same time I hated the logic behind it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Mailbox in the Head.
Mailman.
So,
all right.
Well, the one, I'm drawing a blank here. The solar panel. Jesus, I was just like drawing a blank. The solar panel, cutting the guy in half, awesome. But still just not plausible. So I'm going to go with more plausible and still fun. Mailbox in the Head.
I'm actually reverse you. I'm going with a solar panel.
Yeah.
That's my favorite kill. Yes, it's not possible, but I loved it. It was a great visual effect when I first saw it. That's the one. Mailbox is a great effect, but I was like, okay, that's not. Doesn't surprise me, but that one was like, that's when I really opened my eyes to how good this movie could have been, was going to be. Excuse me, and that, I don't know, the effect was just so good. Like when the two pieces peel off, like a banana peel. It's almost like it's kind of like if there was a hippie character in Mortal Kombat, it would have been like a Mortal Kombat fatality for like a hippie character, like a Green Warrior or something like that, Earth Warrior. I don't know.
A solar panel comes flying down and splits them in half.
Yeah, because I mean we see that split in half before, but so that was my favorite kill, and we've never seen a kill by solar panel before.
No,
so
I don't think we
definitely
have.
a first for us. Like I don't know if any other movie has had death by solar panel.
Dude, I think we had death by drone also, death by solar panel.
That's by drone, that's I think might be a first.
Yeah,
solar panel is a first. Sprinkler, do we have? I don't think we've had.
No, a lot of firsts.
So great for a lot of firsts. So there's my favorite kill, solar panel for me. All right, let's move on to this week's odds and ends.
Not only did they watch these films, they researched them too. Ugh, what is wrong with these guys?
All right, ratings. IMDb gives it a 5.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 40% on the thermometer with a 54% audience score. And Amazon, it has a 3.5 out of 5. Plot keywords, only one plot keyword. Only one. That's...
Leprechaun?
That is Leprechaun.
It's not that it's in the fucking title, asshole.
Yeah. Now, trivia. There's actually some trivia on this movie because it's relatively new. And again, it was kind of I don't want to say big budget, but...
Sure.
Kind of.
Well, it's a franchise.
It's a
reboot of a franchise. Now, granted, it's not nearly up the same level or caliber as like a Halloween or Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's still
a franchise.
well-known franchise.
Now there might be some conflicting things in this from what I found. So take it for to pick what side you're on. Whatever you want. So anyway, Jennifer Aniston congratulates Steve Kostanski for continuing the original storyline of Leprechaun. She reported that neither she nor any of her former co-stars were contacted to participate in any of the previous sequels. Supposedly this movie was filmed in Cape Town, South America. Now, here's the thing about Warwick Davis.
South Africa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that not what I said?
South America.
Did I say South America?
That's okay.
South Africa. Cape Town, South Africa. Warwick Davis, who portrayed Leprechaun in the previous installments, yes, except for the Origins movie, was offered a chance to reprise his role in this film, but he declined. He said his view of the genre has changed significantly since becoming a father, and he doesn't think he'll appear in any more horror films, at least until his kids turn 18.
So they asked Warwick
Davis.
They
did ask him. He just turned it down.
That's a shame because, man, I sure would have liked to have him back.
Right, but at the same time, if he's a father and he has a personal reason, I can't fault the guy for it.
I agree. I get it, but damn, he just... This guy, like we said, we already said it earlier. He didn't do necessarily a bad job. I just didn't like the way he did it. Portrayed.
Of course, everybody wanted to see Richard. I mean, it's like even if they redid Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street again, everybody's going, "Oh, gotta get Robert Englund back." But Robert Englund's like 60-something years old, or who knows?
Who's the guy they used?
The guy from Watchmen, Jackie something or other.
Yeah.
So Which, if I remember, I don't think he was even that bad as Freddy. It's
I don't
just
think
a weird movie.
A lot of people really shit on it.
A lot of people shit on it.
I
But a lot of people shit on the Friday the 13th remake too. But I think a lot of that comes from just nostalgia and rose-colored glasses. Oh, it's not, the originals are better and blah blah blah. And just it sucks. I'm like, honestly, the Friday the 13th remake, I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. It was a nice little retelling, I guess. It was fine with me. The Nightmare on Elm Street remake, I've only seen it twice, and that was a long time ago. But
yeah, I saw it a long time ago when I was.
I don't know. I don't think the guy who did. No, the script may have been bad. Might not have been, but I don't think the guy, Jackie, whatever his name is, did bad in the role.
He wasn't cracking wise, I think is the problem. He was fucking scary. He was bringing back a lot of the fear element to it.
Yeah.
Not so much the,
You're on prime time, bitch!
Bon appetit,
bitch! Bitch! Anyway, so, alright, moving on. Lionsgate initially, this is where it gets, Lionsgate initially tried to contact Jennifer Aniston to resume her character of Tori Redding. However, the production company clarified that an economic agreement was not reached with the actress, so she ended up being replaced. So that's one thing. And then there's another report that says Jennifer Aniston refused to resume her role of Tori Redding. The producers then contacted Heather McDonald to replace her by imitating her voice. So there's two different things. Like she was either contacted, they couldn't come to a financial agreement, or she just said, no, I'm not doing it. So I don't really know what the true one is, but those are two reported instances. And then alternate titles for the movie that were considered were Leprechaun Lives and Leprechaun Renewable Enemy, a pun on the term renewable energy. So that's all I got for that. Now I wish I could say I had a budget for this, because I really thought for sure the budget would be out there, because it was Lionsgate, a big thing. But I couldn't find it. I was kind of pissed at that.
Bummer.
I was real bummed, because for sure there's gonna be a budget for this one, but sadly no. So that just moves us straight on to this week's 5-star reviews.
Is this your guilty pleasure? 5-star reviews.
Now 5-star reviews, there's 43 total reviews on Amazon. 44% are 5-star, 23% are 1-star. First for the 5 stars, N wasn't as good as the oldies, but that's how it goes with remakes and such. Otherwise pretty enjoyable movie. 5 stars. James writes, good. 5 stars.
Good.
Jarvis, in all bolds, I liked the whole movie. 5 stars. From Doctor Who 1956, writes, I'm a big fan of this franchise, and I thought it was a perfect fit. I was skeptical at first with no Warwick Davis and after Origins, but this did not disappoint. Felt like the horror movies I loved as a kid. Better than Halloween 2018. 5 stars.
Wow.
That's a big thing to claim.
Big, bold statement.
Yeah, big bold statement there. I don't know how I feel about that. And then a second one from Amazon is better than the new Halloween movie.
Wow.
5 stars. So, yeah.
It's kind of interesting that they're comparing it to the new Halloween, because it's just that same, 25 years later.
Well, yeah, they're getting rid of the original sequels. I get that. That's really the only thing that it has in common. But I don't know if I'd say it's better than Halloween.
That's the only thing they have in common.
I know. It's like
that's the only thing.
Like, I don't know if I would say it's better, because it's not like, I don't know. They're like two different monsters, two different animals.
Yeah, it's a wisecracking leprechaun versus literally like the embodiment of the boogeyman.
Yeah. So I don't know about that. So moving on to 1-star reviews. Kyle Gels writes, it's just boring. His cheesy one-liners are not even well thought and have no flow like they did in the previous movie. He doesn't seem evil or clever at all, just perverted and slow to catch on. The dialogue barely makes sense. It's like the characters are just spewing whatever is in their head at the moment with no regard for it if it actually makes sense. And then from Jerry Brooks, that was the worst one of all. Oh, this is a little messed up. That was the worst one of all. That was a terrible leprechaun. He can't act. Sounds like a little kid. Oh, okay. This one's written in all one sentence. No, this is why I do this. This is all one sentence. There's no grammatical punctuation at all in this, so bear with me. That was the worst one of all. That was a terrible leprechaun. He can't act. Sounds like a little kid laugh. Was annoying, and good luck trying to hear or understand what the hell he's saying. I have seen them all. I'm a huge movie fan. That was rough to sit through. 1 star. And lastly, from Gary Pollard, this was the worst movie I've seen in a long time. I would rather literally sit and watch paint dry than watch this ever again. I'd rather my finger and toenails be ripped out, all this skin flayed from my body, set on fire, and then rolled down a hill than to watch this movie. Thanks so much to whomever decided to take a good movie franchise and completely destroy it. I hope you're proud of yourself. 1 star.
Damn, bro.
Now, Gary, you have a serious issue if you think this destroyed the franchise. In my opinion, this is the best thing that's happened to the Leprechaun franchise since the first Leprechaun movie.
Right.
All those other sequels destroyed the franchise. Leprechaun in the hood, in space, and then he goes back to the hood.
Back to the hood?
I mean, really? Really? And this is the one you think ruined the franchise? Come on. Now, there were a lot of the 5-star and 1-star reviews both mentioned the Leprechaun Origins movie.
Now, the Leprechaun Origins movie, I'm not really familiar with. However, is this the one that was by WWE?
I don't know if it was by them, but it might have been produced with them because, yeah, Hornswoggle was the Leprechaun in that.
So, Hornswoggle the wrestler.
Who was also a leprechaun.
Who is also...
His character was a leprechaun. He dressed like a leprechaun in WWE.
Yeah. Poor bastard. He was the Leprechaun.
Yes.
So was it how Leprechaun became Leprechaun?
That's the thing. I saw this movie years and years ago, and I'll admit I fell asleep through most of it. And it's one I've thought about doing on this show, but we kept doing Leprechaun, and so we did Leprechaun 2 instead, and then we did this. But Leprechaun Origins is definitely worthy. From what I remember, so I could be wrong. So don't noose me if I'm wrong, guys.
Noose him.
Yeah, don't noose me. I don't know. It takes place in Ireland, and I don't even think it's not even like set way like Leprechaun 2 opened like back in like the Middle Ages or whatever like that. It's not. It's like I think modern day, but it's in Ireland, and the Leprechaun is like terrorizing like I don't know, like farmers or some like college kids that are like on like study abroad or something like that. I don't really remember, but and the Leprechaun isn't wearing like a green tuxedo and jaunty hat and all this stuff. He's like more gremlin-esque. He's like from what he's more. They try to go really more scary, like demon, like kind of like a miniature version of the monster from like Don't Fuck in the Woods.
Okay,
like kind of dark and scale green or dark green and like really wet looking and like slime, like gremlin-y. I don't know,
like a giant, like a more menacing gremlin.
Yeah, like but they kind of went that route, and they try to be much more scary and intense instead of the jokes and the puns and all that stuff. And it got ripped apart. It was really, really bad. So it is what it is. I don't remember a whole lot about it because I never went back and watched it.
Sounds like it's in our wheelhouse.
It is, and we should do it eventually. But I don't. Maybe I don't know if we'll wait till next St. Patrick's Day or now. We might just do it. But yeah, it's bad. But a lot of people compare that to this movie and like, oh, it's better than Leprechaun Origins. That was the worst movie I've ever seen. Blah blah blah. And then one person even mentioned Red Clover, and like Red Clover is not a Leprechaun sequel. It's a Leprechaun movie, but it is not part of the franchise.
Right. That has nothing to do with Leprechaun.
That's just a whole nother. That's just a whole nother Leprechaun movie standalone. I was like, really? Don't get mad at Leprechaun. It's all part of the series because
it's
like
not
calling part of the series.
Wolfman with Benicio del Toro part of Underworld. You know,
something like that.
It's like, yes, they both have werewolves, but that's it.
Yeah, that's that's a good way. Yeah, kind of it. So, anyway, that was that. So let's wrap this up with our final thoughts. Aaron, let's you kick it off. What's your?
I was intrigued when we were going to be doing this because I mean, Leprechaun has a lot. The Leprechaun series has a lot to offer. A horrible horror. Let's face it. I mean, we haven't done Leprechaun in the Hood, Leprechaun Back to the Hood, Leprechaun in Space. I did think about doing Space last year too, but we just like, no, let's just do 2. There's so much for it to offer.
Oh yeah,
there's so much that the Leprechaun series can offer. So when I heard that we're doing the,
in 3 he goes to Vegas.
That's right, he does. So this is like the reboot in a way, kind of like or the alternate timeline, you know, kind of like we've already talked about it. So I was like intrigued. I'm like, okay, but I'm like. There's just so much good that we could be doing otherwise with Leprechaun. But I was pleasantly surprised. I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. I'm going to have to say so bad it's good. That's how I'm rating it. Now, because I really feel it was a good sequel to the first one. And even though it was still hokey and kind of had a lot of fun, there still was elements that I feel like the first one kind of had some parts that were scary, some parts that started getting kind of dark and serious, like when Leprechaun was slicing the shit out of Ozzy's face, tearing off his ear, biting him. It's like, this was getting kind of dark. It wasn't as much, it was like, ugh, there were some parts where Leprechaun was starting to become pretty menacing just like in this one. I think it was a good sequel to follow up. And you had the characters that were there. You had Jenna Evans tied back to the daughter. Ozzy was in it. I really enjoyed it. I was actually pretty surprised. And I think, honestly, it kind of hurt this episode. I don't know if this is one of our better episodes because I enjoyed the movie. I didn't have a lot of witty things or funny things to say because I'm like, I don't see a lot of fault. It's a good horror movie. Good Leprechaun movie. Check it out, guys.
Yeah, I surprisingly good. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish.
Yeah.
And which maybe is like, you know what? We've ragged so hard on the other two Leprechaun movies that like, this one, I feel like I needed to talk about it because like it's so different. It's different, but it does a good job kind of maintaining that essence or that similarity to the first movie. That kind of thread that holds them all together.
Yeah.
But without going so far over the top like the other sequels did. The kills are great. I thought the acting was pretty solid. Lila, or whoever plays Lila, does a really good job. I thought the girls were great. And like I said, the writing, there is so much subtle, good humor in the writing and the way they choose the delivery that it's really good and worth watching. So 100%, so bad it's good, man. We're going to clean sweep this for this week.
And even as we said, the Leprechaun didn't do a bad job acting. I don't think his acting was bad. I just didn't like his voice.
Yeah.
That's it. His acting was good. He was still right in the element of being a creepy leprechaun. Just didn't like the voice. That was about it. I just wish there was a little more inflection.
Yeah.
And that's nitpicking, man.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that, too. Yeah, mostly nitpicking. And yeah, you're right. There wasn't a whole lot to really rip apart and make fun of in this movie like we normally do. But it was just a good movie that surprised us. It was one of those gems that we stumble across every now and then. It's like, hey, this turned out to be pretty good.
There wasn't a lot to goof on. There wasn't a lot to...
It was just solid.
Cool.
So,
because I'm sitting listening to you like, and then I'm like, where's my... Aaron, where's your zippy one-liner? Where's your pun? Where's your story? I'm like, I got nothing. Shit.
Well, they can't all be winners, but yeah, do yourself a favor, guys. Check it out if you want to. If you got time, we recommend it. So that's that for this week, guys. Remember to check out our voting for our tournament on our Instagram page and get involved. That's really awesome. So we'll be back later. We'll be back next week with another horror movie. So in the meantime, guys, remember, watch more horror movies and always keep it tight.